Something is about to crumble, and heaven already knows. There is a tremor in the fabric of our world, a silent cracking of the foundations we believed were made of stone. You feel it, don't you? A subtle disquiet in the air, a whisper that tells you the old ways are fading, and something immense, something world-altering is stirring from its long slumber. For 900 years, a voice has been waiting in the echo of time, a woman who saw the future not in cryptic riddles, but in a torrent of living light that flooded her soul. Her name was Hildegard of Bingen, a seer, a prophetess, a forgotten key to a door we must now unlock. And she has returned, not as a figure of history, but as an urgent messenger for this very moment, for you. If this message has already touched your heart, like this video, subscribe, and comment the word prophecy. She described a vision not meant for her age, a message sealed and destined for a future generation that would walk on the brink of both miraculous discovery and profound spiritual amnesia. Our generation. Have you ever felt like you were born for a time of great change? Like your soul carries a strange nostalgia for a heaven you've never seen, and a deep-seated anxiety about a future you cannot yet grasp? This is not an accident. You are not imagining things. You are awakening to a reality that Hildegard was shown 9 centuries ago. She saw the turmoil, the confusion, the deafening noise of a world that had forgotten how to listen. She saw the hearts of humanity growing cold, distracted by fleeting shadows while ignoring the eternal sunrise at their backs. But she also saw the remedy. She saw the few who would hear the call, the souls who would feel the ancient echo in their bones and look up, searching for the source. This message is that echo, made manifest. It has traveled across oceans of time to find you right here, right now, in this seemingly ordinary moment that is anything but. The divine does not operate by coincidence. Your presence here is a sacred appointment. You were led to this place because your spirit is ready to hear what the world is trying to drown out. So I ask you to quiet your mind, to silence the distractions for just a few moments, and to listen with the ear of your heart. For the words that are about to be spoken are not my own. They are a stream from a celestial river, carried through time by a humble servant of God, to be poured into the vessel of your soul. This is not just a story, it is an activation. It is a key turning in a lock deep within you. But what she saw in that cascade of divine knowing was not meant for her time alone. It was a message sealed in time, waiting for a specific generation, our generation. But what exactly did she see in that blinding vision? And why is its seal being broken right now? Before we delve into the heart of the vision, let's speak to the heart of the listener. Let's speak to you. I want you to think about the quietest moments of your life. Those moments in the dead of night, or in the stillness of an empty room, where the weight of your own existence presses down upon you. Have you felt a profound loneliness there? A sense of being forgotten, perhaps even by God Himself? Have you prayed into a silence that felt like an empty void, sending your hopes into a heaven that seemed made of brass? You have waited for a sign, a whisper, a nudge to let you know you are on the right path, only to be met with more silence. This silence is one of the heaviest burdens a soul can bear. It breeds doubt. It cultivates fear. It allows the enemy to whisper lies into the cracks of your faith, telling you that your prayers are unheard, your devotion is pointless, and you are utterly alone in your struggle. This feeling is a spiritual desert, and so many of us have been wandering through it for what feels like an eternity. We smile, we work, we go through the motions of life, all while a part of our spirit is parched, with a thirst for divine connection. We see others who seem so certain, so filled with a vibrant faith, and we wonder, what is wrong with me? Why is my path shrouded in this fog? A veil of doubt has been carefully placed over the hearts of the faithful, making us question the very presence we once felt so strongly. It is a calculated spiritual assault, designed to isolate us, to make us believe we are the only ones who feel this way. But I am here to tell you, through the voice of Hildegard, that this silence has not been an absence of God, but a preparation by God. In the silence, your spiritual ears were being refined. In the desert, your roots were being forced to grow deeper in search of living water. God has not been distant. He has been patiently waiting for the noise of the world to become so unbearable that you would finally seek the profound stillness where He resides. He has allowed this feeling of longing to become so acute that you would no longer be satisfied with the shallow comforts of the material world. This ache in your soul is not a punishment, it is a homing beacon. It is a divine, holy yearning that proves you are still connected, still reaching for your Creator. Hildegard understood this. She spent years in a state of quiet obedience, feeling the weight of the visions within her before she was ever given permission to speak. She knew the agony of carrying a divine secret in a world that wasn't ready to hear it. She knew your loneliness. She knew your doubt. And she sends this message across the ages to validate your struggle, to tell you that your time in the desert is ending. Your period of silent waiting was not in vain. It was the gestation period for a stronger, more resilient, and more profound faith. It was the tilling of the soil before the planting of a celestial seed. And it was in that sacred silence that Hildegard had the vision that you are about to hear, a vision that only those who have known the silence can truly understand. Picture this, if you will, not with your eyes, but with your soul. Hildegard is not in a grand cathedral, nor on a mountaintop. She is in her humble cell, a space of quiet contemplation. The world outside is a distant hum, and then it begins. It does not start as a dream or a fleeting thought. It comes as a cataclysmic, all-consuming event within her spirit. A light, she called it, but not like the light of the sun. It was a living, breathing brilliance that flowed directly from the throne of God, bypassing her eyes and pouring straight into her consciousness. It carried with it not just images, but knowledge, understanding, and a sorrow so deep it felt like the grief of God Himself. Within this torrent of pure knowing, the darkness of the world was laid bare. She saw the great tapestry of humanity, woven with threads of gold and threads of tar, and she saw that the threads of tar, the pride, the greed, the apathy, the cold intellectualism that dismisses the sacred, were beginning to dominate the pattern. She saw towers of human achievement that cast long, dark shadows over the hearts of men. She saw people so captivated by their own creations, their own screens, their own reflections, that they had become blind to the divine artistry all around them. They were like children playing with marbles in the doorway of a palace, oblivious to the king who waited inside. Was this not a vision of our time? Are we not living in the age of distraction, the age of shadows? Then, as this sorrowful vision reached its peak, a sound pierced through the celestial light. It was not a sound for the ears, but for the soul, the sound of a single celestial trumpet. It was not a call of war or of final judgment, but a call of awakening. It was a singular, pure note that resonated with the divine spark hidden deep within every human being. It was a sound designed to shatter the illusions, to shake the foundations of the false reality we have constructed. It was the sound of heaven saying, "Enough. This is the moment to awaken." Hildegard saw that this trumpet would not sound for everyone. Many would be too deafened by the noise of the world to hear it. Their spiritual senses would be too atrophied, too dulled by constant empty stimulation. But she saw others. She saw a remnant, scattered across the globe, in every nation and every walk of life. She saw souls who would hear the note, faintly at first, like a half-remembered melody. It would stir something in them, a holy discontent, a yearning for something more. This video, this message, is a faint echo of that celestial note, amplified through time. The fact that you are hearing it, that it resonates within you, is a sign. It is a sign that you are one of those Hildegard saw. You are one of the chosen listeners. But the vision was not just about a sound. It was about what that sound was meant to prevent. The stakes were higher than anyone could imagine. What was at risk was much greater than she, or we, could have ever conceived. What was at stake? When Hildegard witnessed this grand cosmic drama, she understood that the battle was not for lands, or for power, or for the political allegiances of nations. It was for the very soul of humanity, for the very essence of what it means to be a child of God. The greatest risk, she saw, was not a dramatic, fiery apocalypse that would consume the world in an instant. No, the danger was far more subtle, and therefore, far more perilous. It was a slow decay, a quiet erosion of the human spirit. She saw it as a fire, but not a roaring blaze. It was a creeping underground fire, like one that burns through the roots of an ancient forest. On the surface, the trees might still stand for a time. They might even look healthy. But beneath the earth, their foundations, their life source, were being turned to ash. This fire was the cold, calculating logic of a world that has divorced itself from the divine. It is the belief that all that matters is what can be seen, measured, and controlled. It is the worship of the self, the endless pursuit of personal comfort, and the cynical dismissal of mystery, wonder, and faith. Does this not sound like the world we live in? A world that tells you that your spiritual longings are a psychological flaw, that your faith is a crutch for the weak, and that the universe is a cold, empty accident with no inherent meaning. This is the root fire that Hildegard saw. It burns away our capacity for awe. It cauterizes our ability to love unconditionally. It replaces the vibrant, living garden of the soul with a sterile, concrete landscape of materialism. The ultimate danger is not damnation, but desensitization. It is the danger of reaching the end of our lives and realizing that we never truly lived, that we were merely sophisticated animals who ate, slept, worked, and died, never once tasting the sublime reality for which we were created. It is the tragedy of a soul that was given wings, but chose to spend its entire existence crawling on the ground. This is what is at stake: your divine inheritance, your cosmic purpose. The world is trying, with every new distraction and every cynical argument, to convince you to trade your birthright for a bowl of lukewarm soup. It wants you to forget the palace of the king and become utterly obsessed with the marbles and the dust. It wants you to believe that the echo of the trumpet is just tinnitus in your ears. But you know better, don't you? Deep down, you know you were made for more. You know that the fire consuming the roots of the world has not yet reached the core of your own being. There is a sacred, fireproof seed planted within you, but that seed requires your attention. It requires your protection. Before the creeping fire of the world can sear the last vestiges of the sacred from our culture and from our hearts, you need to stop. You need to pause, right now, and turn your attention inward. Before this happens, you need to stop for just one instant. Now, I want you to join me in a simple but profound act. You don't need to be in a special place. You don't need to light a candle or recite an ancient prayer, unless your heart calls you to. All you need is this moment, right where you are. I want you to gently close your eyes. If you are driving or in a place where you cannot, simply soften your gaze and turn your focus inward. Let the sounds of the world around you fade into the background. Let them become a distant shore. Take a deep breath. Inhale not just air, but peace. And as you exhale, release the tension in your shoulders, in your jaw, in your spirit. Let go of the argument you had this morning. Let go of the worry about tomorrow's bills. Let go of the endless to-do list that screams for your attention. For this one moment, none of that matters. Now, I want you to place a hand over your heart. Feel the gentle, rhythmic beating. Thump, 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 thump. This is the rhythm of life, a sound that has been with you from before you were born. It is a constant, faithful drumbeat in the temple of your body. Underneath that hand, beneath the bone and tissue, resides a sacred space, an inner sanctuary. For a moment, I want you to listen, not with your ears, but with your heart. Listen past the noise of your own anxious thoughts. Listen past the echoes of criticism and self-doubt. Listen for the deep, profound silence that lies beneath it all. This is not an empty silence. It is a living, resonant silence, pregnant with the presence of God. It is the stillness Hildegard sought in her cell. It is the quiet place where the soul can finally hear the whisper of its creator. In this silence, I want you to ask a simple question, without words. Just pose the intention in your heart. Am I truly alone? Wait, don't force an answer. Don't invent one. Just remain in that stillness, with your hand on your heart, and listen. You may feel a warmth spreading through your chest. You may feel a sense of peace that you haven't felt in a long time. You may even feel a subtle emotional upwelling, as if a dam of unspoken grief is finally breaking. Whatever you feel, just allow it. This is not an exercise. This is a homecoming. You are re-establishing contact with the deepest part of yourself, the part that has never, for 1 second, been separate from the divine. You are remembering a language you have forgotten how to speak, the language of stillness. This is the first step in fireproofing your soul against the flames of the world. Now that you've felt it, now that you have touched that sacred inner space, You need to decide what to do with this connection. What you just experienced, that touch of inner peace, that connection to the stillness, was not a fleeting emotion. It was a glimpse into an eternal reality. Hildegard of Bingen was not a unique anomaly in human history. She was an example of what is possible when a soul aligns itself fully with that divine reality. She understood that her visions, her music, her prophecies, were not her creations. She was a channel, a conduit, a hollow reed through which the breath of God could create a melody. This is a crucial understanding for you as well. The message you are receiving is not just about a 900-year-old saint. It is about the eternal voice that spoke through her, and that now seeks to speak through you. You too are a potential conduit. You were not designed to be a stagnant pond, but a flowing river, receiving from the divine source and giving life to everything around you. The world tells you to build your identity on your job, your accomplishments, your possessions, your relationships. It tells you to be the author of your own story. But heaven offers a far more profound invitation, to be a character in the greatest story ever told, a story written by the hand of God himself. Hildegard's power did not come from her own strength or intellect. It came from her surrender. It came from her willingness to say, "Let it be done unto me," and to allow a power far greater than herself to work through her. In our modern world, the word surrender often has negative connotations. It implies defeat, weakness, giving up. But in the spiritual life, surrender is the ultimate act of strength. It is the act of relinquishing control of our small, limited ego self and allowing the infinite, all-powerful God self to take the lead. It is the difference between trying to row a tiny boat across a vast ocean by yourself versus hoisting a sail to catch the powerful, invisible winds of the Holy Spirit. Are you tired of rowing? Are you weary from the endless effort of trying to control every outcome, manage every perception, and secure your own future in a world that is fundamentally insecure? The exhaustion you feel is a divine invitation to stop rowing and start sailing. This is the path of the mystic, the path of the saint, and it is available to you right now. It doesn't require you to retreat to a monastery. It requires you to turn your life into a monastery, to find the sacred cell within your own heart, and to listen for the divine direction in the midst of your daily life. The voice that spoke to Hildegard is the same voice that whispers to you in the sacred silence you touched just moments ago. It is a timeless, eternal presence, calling you to a higher purpose, a grander adventure. But there is something that heaven cannot and will not do for you. There is something that only you can decide now. This is the moment of truth, the fulcrum upon which your future, and perhaps even a small part of the world's future, now rests. It is the moment of choice. All of creation operates on the principle of free will. God can extend an invitation. Heaven can sound a celestial trumpet, but the door of your heart can only be opened from the inside. Hildegard saw this choice as a great, shimmering portal appearing before certain souls. It was a doorway out of the gray, predictable world of materialism and into the vibrant, technicolor reality of the kingdom of God. But the portal would not remain open forever. Its existence was tied to the urgency of the times, a limited time offer from a loving creator who refuses to force himself upon his creation. For many, that portal is opening right now. Through this message, through a strange coincidence, through a quiet moment of despair that finally broke you open, the doorway is appearing before you. You have two choices. The first choice is simple. You can see it, acknowledge it as a beautiful idea or a moving story, and then turn away. You can walk back into the comfortable, familiar world you know. You can dismiss the feeling in your chest as a fleeting emotion. You can allow the noise of the world to rush back in, drowning out the celestial note. The fire of cynicism will tell you this is the logical, rational thing to do. No one will blame you. The path of the world is wide and well-trodden, but the portal will fade. The opportunity will pass. The second choice is the one that requires courage. It is the choice to take one single, trembling step toward that shimmering light. You don't need to know where it leads. You don't need to have a 5-year plan for your spiritual life. You just need to say a simple, heartfelt yes in the core of your being. A yes to God. A yes to the mystery. A yes to the possibility that you were made for more. A yes to the path of surrender. As the echo of the trumpet of awakening fades, it is replaced by the profound silence of decision. Your decision. What will it be? This is not a choice you make with your mind. Your mind will offer 1,000 reasons to stay put. This is a choice you make with your soul, the part of you that felt the warmth when you placed your hand on your heart, the part of you that recognizes the truth in these words. This choice is the most important one you will ever make. If you feel that yes rising within you, even if it is small and timid, then I urge you to act on it. Right now, the simplest acts can seal the most profound decisions. If this message has touched you in that place of decision, share it. Send it to one person you know who is also wandering in the desert, who needs to hear that they are not alone. This is your first step through the portal, turning your own illumination into a beacon for someone else. That single act of sharing is a declaration to the heavens that you have made your choice. And it is that choice that allows the next phase to begin. And it is for this reason that the next vision Hildegard had changed everything. For those who choose to step through the portal, for those who answer the celestial call with a yes from the soul, the entire nature of reality begins to shift. Hildegard's next vision was not one of warning, but of immense, overwhelming hope. She saw the world after the great sifting, not a world destroyed, but a world renewed. She saw the souls who had made the courageous choice, and they were no longer wandering alone in a spiritual desert. They were connected. She described it as a network of lights across the face of the earth. Each soul that said yes became a small, flickering flame, and together they formed a grid of light that was beginning to push back the encroaching darkness. From the heavens, she saw a new kind of light descending upon this network. It was not the searing, prophetic light of her first vision, but a gentle, embracing, motherly light. It was the light of the divine comforter, the Holy Spirit, being poured out in a new and powerful way upon those with open hearts. This light was a balm for their wounds. It healed the scars of loneliness and despair. It washed away the grime of cynicism and fear. It was a light that did not judge, but embraced. It did not command, but comforted. It did not expose flaws, but revealed the hidden, divine beauty within each person. Have you ever felt a moment of pure, unadulterated grace? A moment where you felt completely and totally loved, not for what you do, but simply for who you are? Imagine that feeling amplified 1,000 times, made a permanent resident in your heart. This is what she saw. This is the promise for those who choose the path of surrender. The veil of doubt, which had caused so much pain and separation, was being gently lifted from their eyes. They began to see the world not as a random collection of matter, but as a sacred icon, a love letter from God. They began to see other people not as competitors or obstacles, but as fellow sparks of the divine, brothers and sisters in a great cosmic family. The underground fire of materialism that had consumed the roots of the world could not touch them, because their roots were now drawing from a different source, from the living water of the Spirit. This is not a distant fairy tale ending. This is the reality that is beginning to unfold right now, in quiet hearts all over the world. You may not see it on the news. You will not read about it in the headlines, but it is happening. A silent spiritual revolution is underway. The kingdom of heaven is not a place you go to when you die. It is a state of consciousness you can inhabit right now, by choosing to step through the portal. The choice you made, the simple act of saying yes, was your enlistment in this revolution of love. Your heart is now a designated outpost for the kingdom of heaven on earth. You are a beacon in the growing network of light. And if you have made it this far, if you have listened with an open heart and felt the stirrings of this truth in your soul, you need to hear the last whisper. The final part of Hildegard's message was not a vision, but a quiet understanding that settled in her soul after the light had faded. It was a personal word of assurance, a final promise, and she asked that it be delivered to those who would have ears to hear in the final age. It is this: you are more protected than you know. There is a grace that surrounds you like a fortress, a shield of divine love that is impenetrable. The anxieties and fears that plague your mind are like arrows shot from a great distance. They may clatter against the walls of the fortress, but they cannot reach the inner sanctum where your true self resides with God. When you feel fear, remember this fortress. When you feel worry, remember the loving arms that hold this fortress in place. The world may rage, the foundations may crumble, but your true home is secure. The final and most powerful symbol that she left us with is that of the sacred silence. In the end, after all the prophecies, all the warnings, and all the promises, what remains is the profound, loving presence of God, which is found not in the whirlwind, but in the still, small voice. Your task now is not to strive, but to abide. Abide in that silence. Return to it every day, even for just a moment. Let it be your anchor in the storm, your true north when you feel lost. For in that silence, you will receive all the guidance, all the strength, and all the love you will ever need. You are a child of eternity who has been called by name. You are a light bearer in a time of shadows. You are a cherished, indispensable part of a divine plan that is unfolding in magnificent and mysterious ways. Walk forward from this moment, not in fear, but in faith, not in anxiety, but in awe. You have been given the key. You have been shown the door. Now, simply walk through it, one day at a time, one breath at a time. The rest will be given to you. Live in this truth, breathe this truth, be this truth, and know that the story is far from over. This was the awakening. What comes next is the transformation. But Hildegard has not yet said everything. What comes next will be even greater.